So let's talk about Iowa State's Will McDonald IV. And he stole pretty much all the headlines because he's 6'4". He has almost 35-inch long arms. He is expected to test crazy good. He had a 36-inch vertical jump, an 11-foot broad jump. He had a great Senior Bowl where he flashed some really exciting things. And Griff, some of his best rushes are like, okay, wow.
I mean, he is so like the big problem with him is he's 240, right? 239 technically. He has a
Yeah.
very similar rush style as Ojolari in that he wants to ghost guys, speed rush, dip and rip. If he can, just completely ghost them, like no contact at all. I mean, his game is running around people. Um, he's got like a spin move counter if he needs to, but he's not very stout. If they get hands on him and everything. I mean, his play strength relative to his weight, and also not just his weight, but considering that he's super tall and long, his play strength relative to his density is actually not that bad, but he's not going to be an effective player in the NFL at 240. So he pretty much has to put on weight. But the amount of reps that he has, like this one, against good college tackles is staggeringly high. And you straight up can't ignore it. And I think the one thing that will make teams kind of be okay with the weight is that he's really long too. It would be one thing if he was light and not super long, but the fact that he has incredible length means teams will probably be okay with it. And I like this rep especially because, like, and again, I'm contradicting myself. So, like, this is him. This is him being able to deal with some contact and be able to survive it and still maintain his path. So,
Yeah, it's
he
again the
fires a
length here to be able to employ both arms to stab the tackle basically, and then rip through. The
yeah,
length is such an advantage.
and like his lateral suddenness too. Like he expands right after the contact, and then
Right.
which allows him to drop his pads
Yeah,
for
that
that
inside
expansion
foot
step.
takes quite the path. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and then he's bending here at like 6-7 yards, and then look how low he gets for a guy that's a legit 6'4" with 34-inch arms. So like Ojolari, he has incredible like body control and flexibility and bend, but he's probably even faster, even more first step quickness than Ojolari. I mean, legitimately high end stuff. Now, the other caveat with him is he is a fifth year senior, but he's been productive since his junior year, his true junior year. So he had like 10 sacks and then 10 sacks his senior year. And then this past year, only 5.5, but I think he played less. And yeah, they played him a lot of four eyes, so a lot of scenarios where he has horrible angles. This is another example, 3-point stance where he just gets up field and it's crazy bend. Now what's cool is that he's getting up field while subtly cranking his toes around and getting his hips around on the guy.
Yeah, and I
So
think
he's
part of this
go
is
ahead.
because he knows that there's a movement coming to from away from him, so he has to crank those
True.
toes. But it's just the fact that he's able to do that, as you're saying. Continue, Griff.
Yeah, and the fact that he can bend around this, like you said, it's a like a line slant. So he's giving 58 width, the nose tackle inside of him. He's giving him width, so he has to expand. But the fact that he can still bend around this is pretty crazy. He throws kind of an inside chop, and then he rips, and then he's just able to bend this like it's insane. The bend is crazy.
Yeah, he doesn't
Um,
even need to really fully land the chop. He's sort of already round the corner by the time that happens. Like,
yeah,
uh,
like it's like a just keeping himself clean a little bit with whatever, like the like the speed stresses the tackle.
yeah.
Um,
And so on the weight, I feel like if he could have put more weight on, he would have, because Iowa State played him inside so much.
yeah,
Like they play like a weird, well, not weird, but unusual, especially for the NFL. You wouldn't see it in the NFL. Like three down linemen, they'll play five tech or like four eye, and he played that role quite a bit, playing inside in the four eye. And if he was going to put on weight for that, he would have done. but I'm not so sure he can actually put weight on. Like it might
Right.
just be that some guys just can't, doesn't suit. It's not their body,
Like his body
especially
type
with
may
him
not
being
be
an
able
older
to.
player. Like you'd expect it to have happened if it was going to happen.
Right. So if
And
he
his
can't,
length
go
did
ahead.
allow him to survive in those
Yeah.
alignments, but like the Senior Bowl, for instance, there's plays where he wrecked the tight end in front of him. And then there's plays where he gets reach blocked by the tight end because he's playing so much for knockback with his length and he's
Hmm.
trying to make up so much for a lack of size. But like honestly, I don't think he can play on early downs,
Right.
just because of his run ability. So
Yeah. So like he's not. It's so hard to project him as a 3 down player. So and Seattle probably isn't drafting in the second round. Probably isn't drafting a day one starter anyway, because they
and
probably
and
have that.
he might be a first rounder.
Yeah. Good luck to the team that has to draft him in the first round, though. They must be in a desperate situation. Like I really like the potential, really like what he could be, but it's just I wouldn't, the weight and the age combined for I don't know if I would take that risk in the second round. Sure. I like this rush though because it's him showing that he can speed rush with contact. Like
Because didn't he run a crazy 3 cone at his pro day?
he had an insane like a 6'6" 3 cone, like insanity.
Yeah,
He almost had a better 3 cone than Jackson Smith and Jigba.
which again, that like maybe that's slightly inflated because it's a pro day, but like look, like
Yeah,
you can see it in action here.
yeah.
Well, the other thing as well is he's known for kind of spin move, right?
Yeah, he's
Uh,
got a counter spin.
yeah. So and the counter spin is exciting, but Iowa State did a great job of kind of coaching all of their dudes the counter spin, right? It wasn't just him. There's is it number 13, number 3? Like his running
I think
mate,
3.
who's also
Yeah.
came. I think he also came out this year. Um, and the thing I worry about with him is if you look at his game against Iowa, which I'm going to get up. There was a lot more reps where it's like, and like, don't get me wrong, we just watched him against Kansas State. Kansas State is not a bad offensive line. Like, it's just not. But I don't think that it's quite as representative as the NFL than say, like, I mean, Griff, I'd be interested. How do you assess a rep like this, where what happens is the tackle gets hands on him early? So here he is on the left of the screen. And okay, it's quick game, but misses with the chop. This tackle's obviously setting for quick game, so there's an advantage there where he can get hands on quickly.
Yeah. I mean, it's quick game. So even if he like won the rep, he's not getting to the touching the quarterback, right? But he doesn't have a lot of like when he's rushing up the arc, he can't. He needs to clear the tackle. Basically, it's like Ojolari, where you need to be clearing the tackle and then bend. He's not going to be like say Justin Houston, where he can be get his hips around and almost be square to the tackle, and then like put his inside arm down the chest of the tackle, and then clear the outside arm with his outside arm, and then bend through, rip through. Like that's not ever going to be his game. Here, like it kind of shows a play strength issue, right? So he's doing
Yep.
what he always does, but the tackle has the strength to,
Puts his hand down his chest.
has the strength to survive that, and his right arm goes nowhere, right? And McDonald is, crumples. He literally crumples at the top of the rush. Now McDonald has like 30 college reps of winning right here, probably even more than that, and bending around. But then he also has, 50 that look just like this too. So that's the range of what you're dealing with. This is where the weight is a problem. This is where the play strength is a problem.
Yeah, right after that rep, he tries like another kind of chop rip move to try and get the hands off him and misses. Oh no, this is a good rep.
This is So I mean, yeah,
This is
and
a nice response.
yeah, and what this is, I think, is it's his speed being just too much. So even though like the tackle just can't, like the tackle loses his balance because the speed around the arc is still, like the foot speed is still there.
Yeah, look at the tackle really. That's not an ideal position to be in.
Yeah,
He beat to the spot that he wanted to be at, and his weight distribution is not what he'd want it to be at either.
yeah. And then like McDonald is like falling forward though, granted. Like
Yeah, he
he's
does
not,
lose his balance, but at least it's into the quarterback.
yeah. So
Yeah. So there are limitations to the McDonald's experience, and like I'll find his speed rush, his spin move counter now because it's encouraging that he does have an inside counter, especially when we're talking about stuff like what happens when a tackle tries to set him wide or even jump set him to try and make the play strength thing a problem, right?
yeah.
That's exactly what happened. So it's encouraging that he similarly using his quicks, he
Hmm.
has like a counter to work inside to take advantage of oversetting. And if I just bring it up, so Griff, while I find this, where do you think Seattle would Seattle draft Will McDonald?
Um, yeah, I think they would. I think that they would be enamored with his length. Like they would be enamored with all the things anyone would be enamored with, the get off, the arc speed, the bend, the flexibility, and the length would be enough to offset weight concerns. Um, I don't think they would draft him thinking he can be like. I feel like they'd be drafting him with the idea of he's a depth pass rusher, but a guy that you can play, hundreds of snaps with. Um, but it would also depend. Like I wouldn't prioritize him over, say, if say you're at 37 and say Mozzie Smith is there, regardless of what you did at 5. I bet they would take Mozzie over Will McDonald. Like they would go interior over him. It would have to be they had to have. Well, not regard if they say they take Carter at 5, then maybe they consider taking McDonald at 37 or a bit later. But I feel like they would not prioritize him. He would not be the first pass rusher they take. He'd have to be like a luxury pick almost.
Yeah, and this is an interesting thing as well. So when a tackle gets the inside arm and stabs the inside arm, it's sort of where the it really highlights the issue with his play strength, or like when he doesn't connect with the hands.
Mm.
Well, because he's aiming here for the. I think he thinks that he's going to get the outside arm contacting him first, so he's aiming to free himself with the spin move. He's aiming to chop with the to hit down with his left hand here and strike, and to therefore keep his pads clean. He can then spin through into the backfield. But I don't think he expected this inside or near hand to be the first point of contact. So his club misses and the tackle is able to switch back and is square. Um,
Mm-hmm. Now, another thing though with McDonald that we should probably mention, because even though we're focusing on them as pass rushers, and you did talk about him as a run defender, but like that length will definitely be a huge advantage for him on perimeter plays, like when things get strung out, think jet sweeps, when plays break down, like we've talked about last year, we talked about how on day 3 you just want athletes who can just do things in space at outside linebacker, even if like just to play snaps. He can do a lot of those things. He can just make things happen out on the perimeter. Because again, like that length and speed is special. So
yeah, even like play action where
yes.
he reads past set late. Like the length just helps him. Say, especially if he's blocked by a tight end or like a wing. If he reads pass a bit later, then he can disengage so quick from the blocks, and we know he has the kind of short area quickness, agility to kind of bend that edge too. There's a lot of plays where he sheds blocks late, well, like in the Senior Bowl when they were scrimmaging and wins sort of late round the pocket for like a late pressure or play action pressure. So there's definitely like stuff there. It's just I don't know if it's I don't know if it's what Seattle needs, if it's the gamble that if it's the gamble that they're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what drafting is like. It's sort of measuring risk and yeah. Again, boring answer, but is this like a case of it's you need to know the character? Like, I also don't know what his ceiling can be and what his. I mean, that's kind of dependent on how much weight he can put on, right? But like, and if he can. But I don't know. If you cannot be relied upon to be an early down edge setter, which, like as I said in the Senior Bowl, he's getting great knockback against tight ends. His pad level's there. His hand placement's great. He's just longer than them. He can really drive them back. But he's playing so on the edge of that sometimes he'll get reach blocks. Combo blocks are like going to be a problem. Like he against a tackle setting the edge. Okay, he'll have length, but just the lack of play strength, even with him, playing with the technique to get the most out of his anchor, he's just ultimately not going to be able to stand in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well then, how viable is a kind of pass rush specialist guy? Like, I don't know how much you can get
Right.
from that. So
Right.
it's an interesting kind of discussion with him.
Right.
And there's more glitzy spin move clips, but I think we're sort of done with him.